So in my character study of Stephen King's It, I encouraged everyone to embrace the things they fear for Halloween. And in keeping with that, I've decided to revisit an episode of the Twilight Zone that scared me when I was a kid. And I'm talking, of course, about The Living Doll. The first time I ever actually watched this episode was at school in the 5th grade. And looking back, I'm pretty surprised that my teacher was allowed to show this to us, because this episode scared the shit out of me. I kind of doubt that, an elementary school would be allowed to show this type of stuff today, so I'm definitely glad I got to see it when I did. Growing up, I was always pretty afraid of dolls because I saw Child's Play at a pretty young age. And also, I had a couple of cousins that would always torment me with their Barbie dolls. So, yeah, this episode only made dolls scarier for me. But, obviously I'm not afraid of that type of stuff today. But this episode really affected me when I saw it, so it's always stuck with me. It's actually my favorite Twilight Zone episode. Okay, so now on to the episode. So we open up with a woman telling her daughter to take her newly bought doll up to her room. However, her stepfather finds out about the doll and gets really shitty.
All right. How much did it cost?
I told you.
I know, you charged it, but how much did it cost?
Eric, that's enough.
How much did it cost, Annabelle?
Now let me stop for a second and say that this guy's a complete dickhead. As we find out, he's unable to have kids of his own, so he harbors a resentment for his stepdaughter. It's like, just appreciate what you have, asshole. Anyway, the girl got a doll called Talkie Tina, and here's a fun fact. The voice actress of Talkie Tina was the same woman who did the voice of Chatty Cathy, a popular doll that could talk in the 60s. So this episode would have been way scarier if you were a kid back then. Moving on, Eric, that's the guy's name, also extends a disdain for the doll. And when he gets it to speak while alone with it, it says some pretty ominous things.
My name is Talkie Tina, and I think I could even hate you.
Naturally, he thinks it's just his wife pulling some kind of cruel joke on him as revenge for the way he's been acting. But, this is the Twilight Zone we're talking about. Eventually, he tries getting rid of the doll, but it manages to get away and actually call him on the phone.
Hello?
My name is Talkie Tina, and I'm going to kill you.
So next time he gets his hands on it, he takes it to the garage to try to destroy it. However, the doll's made of fucking kryptonite or something. And eventually he realizes what a dickhead he's been. He gives the doll back and basically apologizes, and they all live happily ever after. Just kidding, the doll manages to fucking kill him. And the wife finds out that the guy wasn't so crazy.
Eric!
My name is Talkie Tina. And you'd better be nice to me.
Like I said, this episode doesn't really scare me anymore. However, it's the memory of how much it scared me as a kid that always draws me back to this episode. The Twilight Zone as a whole is one of the greatest series of all time. That's a certain thing. And just this episode is the one that has always stuck with me. So if you're afraid of dolls and you're trying to look for something scary to watch, I highly recommend this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.